guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time viewing one of my videos, my name is Elle Morgan. I do fashion videos and I do lifestyle videos as well. So if you're interested in that type of content, make sure you guys subscribe to my channel, click that notification bell. Today's video, I wanted to come and talk to you guys about different careers you can actually have in fashion. Growing up, there wasn't a whole lot of resources for me to look to as far as like the fashion industry. And at the time, back in 2006, 2007, there wasn't a lot of big colleges that were offering that type of program, but I ended up finding one at Auburn University. Actually, before I even graduated, I went to a Science of Design like camp or weekend or whatever, which was pretty cool. So we got to pretty much tour, I think we toured the whole campus, or I know we definitely toured the building where they have the fashion and the fashion classes and stuff like that at. I used to go to my guidance counselor, and I think it was two colleges that we were looking at that was in the state of Alabama, and I think one was I can't remember. I want to say it was A&M, but I think I might be wrong. But it definitely was Auburn. So I chose to go to Auburn. I did like 2 semesters at a community college back at home, and then I transferred to Auburn and stuff. And so I finished out my college education there. But before that, you know, I was working at retail stores. I got introduced to visual merchandising when I worked at Charlotte Russe, because I really didn't know what that was prior. Because like I said, growing up in a small town, didn't really have any resources other than just like, you know, looking on the internet and like watching TV. And like there was nothing in my town that catered to my interests. So I wanted to do this video for anybody that's out there that may be living in a small town, or may feel like, okay, nobody here understands me, or there's nothing here that is catering to my talents or to my interests. I'm making this video to help you out so you can get some direction on what you want to do exactly in the fashion industry. Now, there are a plethora of careers in fashion, but these I'm going to talk about are ones that I'm familiar with, or I know people that are in the field, or that I've actually physically done. So I'm going to share those. Now you can research further for other things, which is right now I'm just going to talk about more popular or some that you might not have thought about. But if you guys really like this video, I will research more and do a part 2 for you guys if this is something you would like to see. So let's get into it. First career, I'll talk about being a designer, which is actually kind of obvious, being a fashion designer. This is something I started out wanting to do when I went to Auburn, but I kind of regret that I allowed it was a sewing, was it sewing class? I don't know if it was 2 separate classes. No, I think they were together. I had a pattern drafting class, which if you've ever done it, then you already know. Like, you have to be so precise with your lines because you are making a pattern for a garment. And like, you have to be exact when you're doing that. So, because that affects the fit of how the garment is going to be. So I struggled so much in that class. Like, the sewing really wasn't that much of a struggle because I was used to sewing, because we had a fashion dynamics class that they offered at my high school. So I got my sewing practice, and plus I kind of already knew how to sew because I was self-taught. So that really discouraged me like really bad, that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna switch and do merchandising. So I ended up doing that, which I don't regret doing merchandising, but I wish I would have stuck it out with design, maybe do a double major. But anyways, but yeah, that kind of discouraged me or whatever. So but yeah, you can definitely be a designer. And my advice, or what I think would be good, how you can really get into that field, is definitely making sure you are in a bigger area, bigger city, to where you can intern, where you can get more experience, you can network a lot more. And also, because of social media, that does make things a lot easier, especially if you're really good at it. Getting your designs out there, you can sell them yourself, and just trying to make those connections to where you can get to a celebrity. You might not be able to get to a big celebrity at first, but if you could at least get to a reality star first and then work your way up, I think that would be good. I think it's actually really kind of easy to get a reality star to wear your stuff, because you know, I don't know, I just feel like just how social media is set up right now, it's so much easier to get in contact with people, to get them to, like, you know, promote your stuff for you. So that will be some tips on how you could possibly get into to be able to be a designer and be successful. Just my observation, just kind of what I would do if that was something I was still pursuing. So my next one is to be a buyer. Now this is something that I was looking to do, because like I said, my degree is in apparel merchandising, aka fashion merchandising. So I did have an interview to be a merchandiser for a department, not a merchandiser, a assistant buyer for a department store, but I didn't get it. But I did get hired to work inside of the actual retail store, and my plan was to work my way up to be able to go to the buying offices. Didn't quite work out that way. That's a whole nother story. I really don't want to get into it, but long story short, I feel like I didn't really get the interview that I should have gotten to be able to sell myself and what I've accomplished in the store already. I feel like my interview was kind of some BS, and so that really put a bad taste in my mouth dealing with that company. So I just was working until I was able to find something else, and yeah, so that's a whole nother story. But definitely being a buyer, I think with that, honestly, I do think it helps if you have a degree. If you just want to go straight into being a buyer and not trying to work your way up, I think definitely having a bachelor's degree, because it is a lot more into it than just, okay, oh, I'm a buyer, I can just shop and, you know, buy stuff for the company. It's more to it than that. So basically, yeah, you are buying stuff for the company. You do have to look into, okay, did this particular style sell well for us the previous year? If it did, okay, so how much more should I buy for this season? Or did this style didn't do well, let's try a new style. Does this demographic like this style? Well, you know, it's more components than just, oh, I get to buy this and buy that. You know, it's a lot more to it. So I do think getting that education, getting that degree is beneficial if you want to pursue a career as being an assistant buyer. I do believe you can work your way up. If you did start as a sales associate for a company and you worked your way up throughout the years, I feel like you could be a buyer that way. But I feel like that would take a lot more time versus you going to school for the 4 years and then being able to intern with that company, and then in turn hopefully get hired. So I guess it just depends on which route you want to take, but choice is being a visual merchandiser, which is something that I've done and I'm currently doing. Basically, I think I've talked about this in another video, what visual merchandising is, but basically you are responsible for making the store look good, making it appealing to customers, making people want to buy what you are selling. Because you can have some bomb ass merchandise, but if it's just thrown together, nobody's gonna really pay attention to it. But if you have it set up and styled, and the aesthetic is, I think I said it right, I feel like I had like a lisp when I just said that word, aesthetic, if all of that looks good and cohesive throughout the store, you're going to appeal to customers and they're going to buy your merchandise. So it's very important. It's not just, you know, it's more, all of these have a lot more that goes into it, and if I sit here and run down all the details in it, we'll be here for all day. So, but to be a visual merchandiser, you don't necessarily have to have a degree for that. I mean, it always helps to have a degree, but you don't have to have a degree in that. Obviously, you have to have experience, but this is something you can do even at an associate level. You get introduced to that, and then you can go from there. Sometimes if you work at a department store, sometimes the brands that are there have their own people that come in to merchandise that product, to make sure that everything is to standard and everything is set up by the store like it's supposed to be. Department stores do have visual merchandising teams, so you also work on, you can also work for a visual merchandiser team, like I did at a not at the department store I was at, but that next retail job that I had, that I ended up quitting, that I had a whole video about that BS, but I was actually a visual merchandising manager there. So we had our own visual team inside of that retail store. So like I said, you can be a part of that, or you can actually be like an independent contractor and work for one specific brand, go in, merchandise for them, and just have like your different territory, your different stores within that territory and all that stuff. And that ties into the next one, which is being a visual manager. I just kind of touched on that. That's being a part of the visual team, making sure, just managing your visual associates, delegating like projects, making sure projects are getting done, because obviously you have to answer to corporate, you know, especially if there's like promos, you got to have this special promo out, or is it different collections that are hitting your store, making sure that stuff is executed. So that kind of falls a line right under like visual, like merchandiser, as far as like being an independent contractor. To me, that kind of falls under that. But yeah, but that's pretty, I mean, again, you don't really have to have a degree for that. Obviously you would have to have had managerial experience to be able to be a visual manager, and also, you know, having a great eye for fashion for that too, or what looks good or what's going to work for the display, because a lot of times you do have to improvise, so you do have to be quick on your feet when it comes to that type of stuff too. My next one is to be a fashion stylist, and you don't have to go to school for this, but I do suggest going to different boot camps of different stylists that are successful. I feel like that helps you get really good insight on how the business is run and how to run your styling business. I actually did go to a boot camp because I was a stylist back in Columbus for a little bit of time. And I styled like a local radio DJ that was like really popular. So I styled her for a couple of things. And then I did have my own clientele that I did things for as well. So, but yeah, so like I said, I think it's very beneficial to go to a boot camp. You can go to, I know Jay Bolin, he is about to start his boot camp up, and I will, if I can find the information for that, I will try to link that below. But you can find him on Instagram, and I'll either put his Instagram here or in the description box below. But yeah, so following like some of your favorite styles, like some of your celebrities that you just are obsessed with or obsessed with their style, find out who their stylists are, follow them on Instagram, and see if they have boot camps, and then go to it. Because like I said, like that is a great way to get a lot of information, excuse me, on the business. And also you could possibly intern. So that would be my next step as far as being a stylist. It's finding someone you can intern with, and that also will give you, that's great networking, and it also give you even more insight on styling and being able to, you know, hone your craft and all. Okay, in my last career, this is kind of more newer, like I think in the past 5 years, or let me see, maybe not 5 years, maybe like the past 3 years or so, I don't know, that this has become really popular, and that's being a fashion blogger or a fashion influencer. If you just a dope ass individual and you take really good pictures and you have really good fashion sense, you can be a fashion influencer basically. Excuse me, and also a fashion blogger, which is something that you guys know that I've done and still am kind of doing. So yeah, so if you have like fashion tips that you can give to your viewers or your audience, I definitely suggest being a blogger, or also you can be a fashion YouTuber. You can also do that too. That also kind of falls under that umbrella. But being like a fashion influencer, like of course you need to have, you don't necessarily have to have a photographer, but you need to have a phone with a good camera, and you need to make sure that your lighting is on point so your pictures can be on point as well, because that's very important obviously when you're posting on Instagram to catch people's attention. But my suggestion on probably being, well, I'm not a fashion influencer, but just from what I've seen, I think to be successful in that, I think it would be a good idea to make sure you're tagging brands when you're wearing their clothing, so they could possibly repost you on their page, bring traffic to you, and also collaborating with other brands. Maybe you can find somebody that is a designer that's up and coming that you can collab with, be like, hey, you know, I'm getting this following, I can post your you know, designs on me, bring traffic to you, and all of that stuff. I don't know, you just, with that, it's just so many possibilities that you really have to get creative, and it's like a trial and error. You got to figure out what's going to work for you, and you do have to research like your demographic, where you're trying to go, who you're trying to God, why can't I talk? Where you're trying to go, who you're trying to reach. It's just a lot goes into it, and that's something that you're gonna have to do your own individual research on, because like I said, everybody's different. And yeah, you just really got to do your research. But I definitely think that is something that's come up in the last couple of years that's proven to be really successful for a lot of people. So that's another way you can have a career in the fashion industry. So I hope this video was helpful. Hopefully I didn't do a lot of rambling. Hopefully it was a lot of good information for you guys, because I did not make any notes this time. I just had a couple of things written down on my phone, and I just talking off the dome. I hope you guys get something out of it. If you have any additional questions, then feel free to leave it below, and I will answer them to the best of my abilities. And if you want to see a part 2 to this video, then make sure you guys let me know down in the comments, and I will do some research for you guys and find even more careers you can do in fashion. And don't forget to check the description box for all of my social media networks and more info about the different jobs that I mentioned in here. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.